What's going on? You're in the Beat Sessions. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. And if you're wondering why I'm not in my studio, it's because I drove across the country and I'm currently in Georgia hanging out with my family for the week. Really excited to be here. Excited to do some segments while I'm hanging out because Friday was a great album release day. Hope you've been able to enjoy some of that music, especially that new EP from Primus. That was a really cool project. I put together that review and then loaded up the dogs and packed up my things and drove 37 hours across the country. So by the time I arrived in Georgia, I was feeling pretty exhausted. Needed to take a few days to relax and get my head back on straight. And it was also my mom's birthday. It was a surprise, so I apologize for not informing all of you about this. But she watches the channel from time to time, checks out an album review here or there, and I didn't want to spoil that surprise. So thank you to all of you for understanding and being so cool and still tuning into the channel. I didn't want you to think that I just up and disappeared. I wouldn't do that to you guys. Just the same way that Daniel Johns would not do that to all of us. He's back with a brand new record entitled FutureNever. That was released on April 22nd. This is the ex-Silverchair frontman's second solo outing and his follow-up to 2015's Talk. And we might be hearing Daniel Johns in the best creative space that he's ever been in. It's pretty cool. He's coming off the success of his podcast, Who is Daniel Johns? Number of cool guests on that show, but he talks about just how cathartic that experience was, talking about his mental and physical illnesses that he struggled with over the years, the struggles with just fame in general, being a rock star, and a number of other things, relationship struggles. But he's just like, I just didn't realize I needed to get this weight off my chest. And so it's really cool that he came off that experience in such a positive state of mind, was able to put together this project. And I dig this project. I really think that this project is a phenomenal representation of where Daniel is as an artist. I've heard some people say that this thing is disjointed and fragmented, and to a certain degree, it really is. But I think that given going into this record what he didn't release any of these songs as singles. We've talked about this on the channel before. I really think it can be so detrimental to an album when an artist releases 4 or 5 singles in advance. It really just ruins any surprise there. So this record is fun because it's very self-contained. He talked about how important that was. So no singles, no one's heard any music off this until Friday. And it makes it so much fun because this thing, all the twists and turns, you just don't know what you're going to get with the next song. And, a lot of people might not be happy with that. If you were looking for, maybe a Silverchair sounding record, something rock and roll oriented, maybe just a straightforward electronic album, you're going to be disappointed. That's not what's going on this record. But I think if you throw the headphones on and really give this thing a chance and give it some time, you might need a second or third listen to really allow this thing to come together. But I think it's just a beautiful representation of where he is as an artist. And I enjoyed this project a lot. I think it's just really amazing listening to the way that he's incorporated all these different electronic influences into his music. There's some great up-tempo stuff, some really mellow stuff as well with beautiful orchestration. Kind of reminds me of late era Silverchair. But what's cool about Australian music, there's so many bands. I think of Rufus Du Sol, Cut Copy, they come to mind immediately. But you get these bands that they're writing electronic music, but they're playing it all instrumentally. I mean, you can go and watch these guys rock out on stage. And so I think that element of being a rock band, even though you're making electronic music, still works itself into the sounds that those bands are making. And I can feel that in Daniel's record here. I feel like it's a big thing in Australia right now, and I absolutely love it. I think that electronic music should be made that way. It's pretty awesome. But, you think about him working with bands like the Veronicas, that's a band that rocks out but incorporates some cool electronic stuff into their music. And he's had a chance to work with Luke Steele from Empire of the Sun, Zoo, amongst others. He's really branched out and worked with a very eclectic, cool group of musicians, and that experience also is being reflected in this album. So like I said, approach this thing with an open mind. Don't have any type of notion of what you should be hearing on this record, and I think you'll really enjoy it. It kicks off with Reclaim Your Heart, dark, foreboding piano intro. Love the soft rhythm that comes in with the vocal, and this thing just has beautiful strings to match. Really nicely done. Great big coda, reminding me of that later Silverchair, and a nice way to start this record off. Leads into Mansions. Your second track has this contemporary pop and R&B feel, and that's that moment immediately where you're like, this thing is going to throw a lot of different fun new stuff at me. And I was really excited the moment that song came on. Where Do We Go is your third track, gentle alternative R&B in the verses, but then it's got this rocky, grungy chorus. I like the dynamic there, the shift, it really works. This is a really well done track. Probably one of my favorites on the record. Cocaine Killa featuring Peking Duck is your fourth track. It's got this pulsating synths, the strong electronic track, and dubstep textures as well. It's really, I like the way that he worked those dubstep textures into that that track, excuse me. Very nicely done. Great little nuance. Stand 'Em Up is your 5th track. Edgy, fuzzy rocker. I like the aggression and just the overall nature of this song is what this, it comes at the right moment on this record. I feel like it's got a little bit of Celtic instrumentation in it as well, in the intro and the outro, worked into the middle of the song as well. It's just really showing off the eclectic nature of what he's doing these days. Again, I really dig the way that he's all over the place and the way this thing comes together for that reason. I Feel Electric is your 6th song. Mellow, soul, and funk. I love the bass on this song. And again, it's a different sounding song that I feel just comes at the right time on this record, given the way that it comes after Stand 'Em Up. Your next song is Emergency Calls Only, your 7th track. And this, he's working with Van Dyke Parks on this track, who well known for his work with the Beach Boys. And there's not a lot of it on this record, but in the mellow songs, especially in the orchestration, there's a really chill chamber pop feel, a little bit of psychedelic feel to this record as well. And Van Dyke Parks on this particular track, I like the classic pop feel with the gentle groove and the orchestration. But I feel, he was featured in that podcast with Daniel Johns, and he's someone that Daniel's been very close to, and so you can feel his influence not just on this song but throughout the record, I would argue, and I really dig that because Van Dyke Parks is just absolutely excellent. FutureNever is your 8th song, featuring Purple Girl, and this song has got this sinister intro. I mean, it's kind of creepy. It's got this like children vocal element to it that is kind of off-putting. I like the piano. This thing has got a gentle industrial feel. It kind of reminds me of Trent Reznor and 9 Inch Nails when he's on that mellow side of what he does. Danger Boy is your 9th song. It's got this electro funk feel, really working the falsetto, and that's something that's really at work a lot on this record as well. Daniel Johns is really pushing the limits of his vocal range, working with that falsetto a lot. I like it. I think he's killing it on it. And it's just electro funk and post punk. I really like Danger Boy, one of my favorite songs on the record as well. And I think it's so interesting the way it's bookended by FutureNever, and then When We Take Over, gentle piano ballad is gorgeous string element. I mean, Danger Boy coming in between FutureNever and When We Take Over is the perfect example of the brilliant range that this record covers. Your 11th track is Someone Call an Ambulance, and just a mellow psychedelic feel. This is where I'm really starting to feel that influence of Van Dyke Parks over the years in his career, but great penultimate track. Leads into Those Thieving Birds, Part 3. Love the piano. It's just this lone piano note that brings in the song, and then the rest of the melody and the instrumentation comes in. It's got this classic pop feel. It's really a marvelous way to close out just a brilliant project. This is I love this record. Not everybody's going to be pleased with this record, but I would say if you're on the fence with it, give it that second listen, because I think that's what's going to put you over the edge in the right way. I'm really pumped about this record. We're going to vinyl please this thing for sure. I hope you enjoy this record, and I hope you find this album review helpful in the process of checking that out. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2022, and stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews from Georgia. We will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.